Good morning. That's Siobhan, who often chooses the background photos for us, being playful with us with the bear greeting. I'm the Reverend Kevin Tarsa. We can all help each other by helping people know where spaces are, helping move toward the center. For long-time folks, maybe freeing up some space as needed. There's some seats right up front. Surprise! Oh, there's some here though, right? There's one here, and we'll find our way. Thank you. We gotcha. Blue Boat Home, the song we just sang, is Peter Mayer's much-loved reminder that we are all in this together. This morning, as we celebrate trust in community, I invite the folks on Zoom who are willing to turn on your camera in the next couple minutes so that as the greeting here in the room finishes, you can unmute and say and wave hello, and so we can offer the same to you. And if you were counting on not being seen as part of what makes that Zoom experience work for you, that's okay too. It's just that we would love to see you this morning if we can. Meanwhile, I'll invite all of us to let our phones have a break, give them a vacation by silencing them. And it's okay to check if you're not sure if they're off yet. And then I invite those of us in the room and in the chat to, with all the kindness and care we can find in ourselves this morning, greet one another, making sure everyone gets greeted. Thank you. We're glad you're here. Mark Grove offers our land acknowledgement this morning.
This is our land acknowledgement. Land acknowledgement. When I put this together, I realized that every once in a while I'll come across a word and I think I know what it means, but I'm maybe not quite sure, so I looked it up. Webster's defines the word acknowledgement with phrases like to recognize the rights of, to take notice, to express gratitude. That last one was pretty strong for me because I've been sitting in gratitude for a little while now, especially this year. My word for 2025 is reflection. Curiously, the dictionary offered only one antonym to the word acknowledgement, and that was to deny. We are on Nisenan land. We understand that we need to recognize, to take notice, and to be grateful for this land on which we live, in which we love, in which we congregate every day. The Nisenan did all of these things on this land long before us, and they are still living here today in our community. And they are a part of that community. Excuse me. To not see that, to deny them that recognition would be wrong. These black oak acorns are a simple, but I think powerful symbol that we place on our altar every week that embodies our recognition, our commitment, and our pledge to move forward in supporting the Nisenan with hope, determination, and with trust. The idea that they can trust us, they can trust in us to acknowledge their sacrifices and to be grateful for this land that we have.
Every little thing that breaks your heart is welcome here. We'll make a space for it give it its due time and praise, for the wanting it represents, the longing for something more, some healing hope that remains not yet. We promise no magic, no making it all better, but offer only this circle of trust, this human community that remembers, though imperfectly, that sings and prays, though sometimes awkwardly, this gathering that loves, though not yet enough. We're still practicing, after all, still learning, still in need of help and partners, still becoming, able to receive all this beauty and all these gifts we bring. Come, let us worship together.
Thank you, Dante. Some churches and religious leaders commit never to bring up anything political in a service. It's true. In fact, a local church, someone was telling me that that's the policy, knowing that could it very well be divisive, right, in their midst. Here each Sunday, we try to engage the fullness of who we are and the many varied layers of our lives, including, part of the time, the political layers. Because human political decisions and actions don't reside in some entirely separate sphere. All political decisions and actions, which are decisions about what to do and why in our shared lives, all political decisions and actions are public expressions of people's moral values, whether anyone realizes it or not. Public expressions that affect others. This makes what happens in the political realm deeply relevant in the religious realm, and vice versa. Which decisions and actions do our moral values affirm, and which do our moral values identify as harmful? It's ongoing spiritual work to sort it all out, including both the moral value of honoring each person's inherent worth and dignity, and the moral value of recognizing our thorough interconnectedness and independence, both and everything in between. It's not for the faint of heart, which is why we do it together. As a ritual acknowledgement and reminder of this shared journey we're on, I've invited us to adopt and adapt the practice begun this winter at the UU Society of Sacramento, the practice of lighting what we're naming a candle of compassion, resistance, and resilience. Compassion for those suffering, for ourselves too, and for those with whom we disagree. Resistance when we recognize that people and life-sustaining structures are being placed in harm's way. Resilience, our own, yes, but also the resilience of this entire ongoing human effort to be what we can best be. Right here at UUCM, as well as in our neighborhoods, in our nation, in our world. And we send some of the light from each of those candles, truly, with our youngest members who get to go to Kids Connection. And we'd love to sing you on your way as you go, and as Cheryl comes to get the light to take with you, so that we're connected even while you're upstairs and we're here.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Carol Nimick, the worship associate this morning, assisting Reverend Kevin. I'm glad to be gathered in this room and on Zoom with you. I'm grateful for your presence. Our UU community is reassuring to me during these trying times. It is comforting to feel our connection through UU shared values and through our care of one another and others in our community. Recent political events have brought a heaviness to my days, and regular routines do not feel the same. In these uncertain waters, I find myself turning to the natural world and to the circling around one another here to ease the tension. There is comfort in sensing how many living beings seek community when responding to stressful circumstances. Perhaps this response is even woven into our DNA. I'd like to share a few inspiring situations from nature that give me reassurance. The first regards trees. Science has shown that trees communicate underground, root to root, via a chemical exchange, which sends an alert to neighboring trees that there is disease, fire, or harm. The roots of trees tangle more tightly together to support their tall, straight, strong trunks when the soil amongst the roots has washed out. Perhaps you've seen this along the edge of a lake or a river. But certainly the roots weave together, working cohesively together. Another favorite communal occurrence is a murmuration. Have you ever seen one where a flock of birds, usually starlings, take off in big cloudbursts? In a swoop, a dive, a twist, in a choreographed dance. There are so many birds, they appear as dark clouds that shift and pulse and expand. And why? There is safety in numbers, warmth generated, information about good feeding areas, and protection from predators in a group. They collectively coordinate and communicate, and the group becomes stronger as a whole when threat is near. And finally, the last image from the natural world are the bees, who work so remarkably together, and in so doing gift us golden honey and gift flowers pollination as they gather nectar from the flowers' nectaries. I ponder how I might become a nectary, an organ-producing sweet liquid. It's in quiet reflection, such as in the joys and sorrows each Sunday, that I can open to a feeling of flow, sensing a pulse of emotions and images and thoughts without censor. In this flow, I imagine honey is produced, and I feel more connected with the nectar of life. So welcome to this moment we have together, where we have the opportunity to quietly go to our inner nectaries, as well as be united in a community of like minds and hearts with shared UU values, coming forward, all of us, with love. Thank you.
We are fortunate to have one of the congregation's founders still among us, Anita. Anita Weltaldo, come on up. And I'm going to move this so that you can be seen.
Oh, yes, they can all see me.
Can you see them?
Oh, yes, everyone. Okay. First, you need a little history. Now, maybe it's more than history you want, but you're going to get it anyway. My ancestors lived in Schleswig-Holstein, Germany, and were constantly fighting with officials on the adjacent Danish peninsula for possession of common land in both countries. Tired of conflict and constant name changes, many of them climbed aboard a ship headed for America, came through Ellis Island, gaining yet another new name, and made their way across land to the eastern border of Iowa, adjacent to the Mississippi River, where previous travelers had found a welcome and peace of mind. They also found a well-established German Lutheran church, like the one back in their homeland, which both grandparents and parents joined. When I was born in 1927, I was baptized into that denomination. In the midst of the Great Depression, a welcome job change took our family to the heart of Iowa, but no German Lutheran church, only Norwegian Lutherans there. Very different. After a thorough search for a proper substitute, a kindly British pastor with a Presbyterian message was discovered, and my family and I became Presbyterians. I earned a lot of gold stars for memorizing Bible passages. That was the big thing I remember about that. This theology took me through 2 college degrees, applied art and occupational therapy, followed by some work experiences, but I'd lost my church along the way. I found myself married to an undisclosed atheist with a 2.5-year-old daughter with no real friends and needing socialization, and me needing guidance. So I took my daughter with me to get her acquainted with my former OT supervisor at the hospital. She asked how the mother job was doing. And I told her, pretty well, except I can't seem to find the right church for all of us. Her response was immediate. Don't I remember you telling me you had a degree in art? Did you ever hear of Frank Lloyd Wright? Of course, he's my favorite architect. Well, he designed and helped build my church. You might like it. Suppose I pick you and your daughter up on Sunday and introduce you to it. True to her word, she picked us up, took us to her church, and showed us, especially the very large children's area with its at least 9-foot square foot sandbox smack dab in the middle of the room. My daughter ran to it immediately and joined the other young ones creating make-believe. I was prepared to stay with her, but the staff already saw her needs and encouraged my hostess to show me the rest of the building. If I sat at the back of the room, they could find me if she needed me. She didn't. And I was able to visit the rest of this magnificent building and sample the sermon and the rest of the morning service. My hostess rejoined me afterwards, led me to the snack table, and made sure that I was introduced to people of my age, also with children. They were very smart. The visit satisfied all my needs. I had found my church and joined in 1955 in Madison, Wisconsin. And yes, I was asked to make a pledge to help with the care and management of the building and minister. In the ensuing years, 2 more girls joined their sister, and in 1962, I was planning to return to part-time work when I discovered that I was going to have an unplanned addition. Just when my husband was offered a staff position in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, which he had already accepted. We spent 2 years while he realized he needed more education, but we were without our church until we heard about the Church of the Larger Fellowship. We were sent sermons, children's workbooks, and other related information, which did keep us in touch. I don't recall that we were charged anything for this welcome information, but I do remember sending a thank you card with a check on one occasion. In 1966, we moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota for a year to get an advanced degree. But we got to sample the 3-story Unitarian church and get involved with some of the classes and committees and experience pledging really for the first time. In 1967, a move back to the Midwest brought us to Lansing, Michigan, with a church that I got to really get involved with and assist as office manager first and later as assistant minister. I got to get creative in regard to pledging and set up some sliding scales and percent of income, et cetera, along with other modalities. In 1975, I had a world-shaking experience, which led me to leaving the Midwest and journeying to California, where I've been ever since. Here I've been exploring establishing a monetary base and then adding additional sums as the need arises. My best idea so far has been giving an additional check to the church on my birthday, equal to the number of years I've resided on this planet. Anybody is welcome to copy this idea if they so wish. We also have added little bits along the way, like when we took on the Haitian family, brought them up here and helped them to get established. And now we have to be worrying about the immigration officials coming out from Washington. And we may need to raise our money a little bit more again. But anyway, that's my message for today. Pledging can be a lot of fun and you can get very creative with it. And I guess it's my creativity with it that got me up here this morning. Thank you very much.
Anita, thank you once again. And most of all, I think, for getting this whole thing started here in Grass Valley. Yeah, we cannot thank you enough for that. So are you ready for a little planned chaos, sort of? We're going to do a reading. It's a set of Beatitudes. Blessed are the... This is a set of Beatitudes for those people who do all kinds of things in the congregation. So I'm looking for 16 readers to read a sentence each. 4 people online. I know Eileen's been cultivating that, so in a moment I'll ask Eileen who you found. But I'm looking for 16 people. Would you help me pass these out? And we'll be inviting you to come to the mic, just so you know that ahead of time. So 16 folks, if you'd raise your hand, and Carol will help. And once you've got your slip, come on up. We'll just... Thank you. We begin with number 1. This is Beatitudes for Church Leaders. I would say church folk or community folk by Reverend Tess Baumberger.
Blessed are those who arrive early and open the church doors, that much may be opened for them.
Indeed. And you can just return on your, yeah. Mm-hmm. Number 2.
Blessed are the greeters and all who practice hospitality, that they find kind welcome wherever they go.
Yes. Number 3. Thank you.
Blessed are those who nurture and guide our children and youth, that they in turn be nurtured.
Yes. Number 4 is on Zoom. Suzanne.
Blessed are those who plan and lead worship, that they deepen spiritually.
Indeed. Would you say that one more time, Suzanne? Sorry, we didn't quite get your face up there.
Oh,
So Cypress, is that okay? We'll go back to Suzanne. Are you able to spotlight Suzanne again, Cypress, for us? There you go. One more time. Thank you.
and I lost my script. Let's see. Oh, I lost chat altogether. I blinked out. Sorry.
It was the first one was, blessed are those who plan and lead worship, that they deepen spiritually. Indeed. Number 5.
Blessed are all who bring art and music to our church life, that they live in harmony and beauty.
Art and music, yes. Number 6.
Blessed are the AV specialists, that they find meaningful connections.
Oh, the AV specialist. Yes. Thank you. Number 7.
Blessed are those who manage finances and pay the bills. They shall be called stewards of the church.
Oh, indeed. Thank you. And on Zoom, Robin, if you hang on till we get your picture up here. Number 8. There we are.
Blessed are the coffee makers and food sharers, that they may be nourished.
Indeed. Indeed. Number 9.
Blessed are our elected leaders, that they find and practice wisdom.
Our elected leaders. Indeed. Number 10.
Blessed are committee and team members, that their time and devotion be rewarded.
So many committee and team members. Yes. Yes. 11.
Blessed are those who lead small groups, that their kindness be returned.
Indeed. Number 12 online. We'll wait till we get your picture up. I think it's Lynn, right?
I'm 16.
Oh, so it's Cheryl then.
12.
Moment, Cheryl, we'll get you your face up. There we go.
Blessed are those who care for people in need, that their own needs be met.
Indeed. Number 13.
Number 13. Blessed are those who work towards justice, that fairness may one day flourish.
Indeed. 14.
Blessed are those who care for our building, that they shall find good shelter.
15.
Blessed are those who services on Sundays and who contribute to the church in a myriad of other ways, that they find fulfillment.
Indeed. And Lynn on Zoom, 16.
Blessed are those who make sure the church is safe, that they be secure all the days of their lives.
Thank you all. And I would add, blessed are those who check this place out. Perhaps with some trepidation, that they may find a home for their mind, their heart, their spirit. Who have we missed? Who else would you name? Anybody? In the life of this circle of people. Blessed are the children, indeed. Blessed is Toby for music. And me too.
Blessed is Siobhan, who solves everything with a smile.
Blessed is Siobhan, who solves everything with a smile. Oh my goodness, yes.
Blessed are the setting makers.
Blessed are the setting makers. Yes. Blessed are we all, ideally. Are we all? Thank you. Thank you. It's a beautiful way to move into our joys and sorrows. Those are joys to celebrate, all the ways that people bring themselves to this community. And I will name the joy yesterday of helping celebrate the ordination of Kristen Famula in Albuquerque. There's Kristen's new stole. She was ordained by 3 congregations at once. In the congregation she's serving part-time in Ogden, Utah, the congregation in Reno, Nevada, where she had served really deeply for a long time, and the congregation in Albuquerque, where she did her internship. It was really heart, love, appreciation-centered event. So I wanted to share that joy with you. Kristen has very strong and fond memories of being here among you, and I have explained to her how fond our memories are of her time here, how much respect and appreciation we have. I invite you to just take a moment to search your heart. What else is in there today for you? What did you come in with, or what's present now, maybe even surprising you, that's in your heart, on your mind, whether it's lifting you or weighing on you? Take a moment to notice. And I invite us together to hold the silence, whether that silence is open and spacious for you, or filled with your prayers, or filled with your focus on your breathing or intention. But is to hold the silence and to hold each other as people in the room who choose come and take a stone and place it in the bowl of water to represent everything they're holding and all that holds us. And as people on Zoom have a chance to type into the chat either a 0 or an O, which is the equivalent of a stone, or to type some piece of what you're holding in your heart today. I invite you to take a couple, perhaps deep, meaningful breaths, and then to enter our time together. A blanket fort prayer. The words of Helen H.P. Rivers. Meet me at the altar of banned books, blanket fort sanctuary. We will dance to a chorus of children's laughter. Meet me in the joy, the sorrow, beneath the rainbow banner. Bring your questions, cares, concerns. Bring the glitter in your pocket and the sparkle in your smile. Bring your heavy heart, your favorite mug, your very best swear words. Set down your bravest face. Meet me in the heartbeat between what has been and what will be. Meet me in the flicker of our eternal flame. We need not face this moment alone. Blessed be. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and to sing together.
When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand?
If you will show me commitment, then I will learn to love as you do. Then I will learn to love.
Feel free to stretch as you're sitting down. Let your body get what it needs. Yeah. 2 Sundays ago, I invited people here to share ingredients they would include in their recipe for trust. You created a wonderful list of ingredients, and soon afterward, Jill Banwell sent me a note in response explaining that it kind of had to be a poem. So I've asked Jill to share her poem this morning. It both follows that service and prepares this one really beautifully.
A recipe for trust. Stir together friendly faces. Fold in gently, must leave spaces. Add some gruff, chop in the grumpy. Young and old, stylish or frumpy. The outspoken for some spice. Cream in those who veer towards nice. Cup of chatter, cup of words, better often cut by thirds. Throw in doers, some are not. Gotta work with what you got. Half-baked, overbaked, frozen and fried. Gorged on, sipped, then seasoned and tried. Marinate, simmer, broil and baste. Gather around the table, it's time for a taste.
Gather around the table, it's time for a taste. I love it. Thank you, Jill, both for the poem and your willingness to offer it. A little backstory. The Unitarian Universalist tradition, as we know it, is born of at least 4,000 years worth of human history. It's carried forward even now in our DNA, while our contributions in this very moment are shaping the legacy that we'll pass on to those who come after us. However, the specific church communities to which we trace the beginnings of our Unitarian Universalist tradition in North America go back to the 1630s, to the 20,000 people from England, the Puritans, who left the world that they knew so they could have a chance, so they could have the freedom to create the world as they thought it should be, based on their interpretations of Christian holy writings and based on what they were coming to know and understand about the very earliest Christian communities. They intended to show the world just how peaceful and how comfortably well-ordered society could be if in that society people were free to found and establish free churches. That's Alice Blair Wesley's language around it. If they could establish communities governed not by religious or political rulers and hierarchies or worn traditions, but governed instead by the spirit of mutual love toward and with each other that members practiced together. Mutual love that members together figured out and committed to. That idea and commitment would then, in their mind, shape everything about that community. From how you join, to what joining means, to who gets to join, to how all decisions are made. Alice Blair Wesley says that this is one of the things our ancestors got really right, that basic idea. There are things they got very wrong, too, as evidenced, for example, in how they perceived of and treated the people who had long lived on this continent before the Puritans arrived. And that's in our DNA, too, always at risk of being expressed. But the more life-sustaining pieces we've inherited and then since then developed arose from the questions, the arguments, the ideas, and the conversations those Puritans were having in England before they ever crossed the ocean. Here and throughout, I'm sharing abundantly of the insights and the framings of Alice Blair Wesley, who offered a series of 6 lectures about 25 years ago titled The Theology and Anthropology of Our Liberal Covenant. So here's why those conversations were underway back in England. People at that time were required by law to attend church services every Sunday. Services of mostly old and dull ceremony and boring words delivered by unskillful and poorly paid ministers who told people what lessons to take from the biblical texts. But since the Bible was by then available in English, and people could read its interesting and dynamic and confusing and confounding stories for themselves, they were hungry for more, and they wanted to talk about these things and understand them, and they really wanted to dig in. At Oxford and Cambridge, Bible studies became all the rage, and students there got interested in Hebrew and Greek and Latin so they could translate the works themselves. Instead of merely accepting what archbishops and bishops and ministers said, they wanted to read it for themselves. Professors were giving really exciting lectures about their new understandings based on their biblical scholarship, and some ministers started doing some exciting preaching of their own based on that. So, instead of attending their local boring services, people started choosing to attend other churches where they could hear something more compelling. Plus, afterwards, they wanted to talk about it with each other. They wanted to talk about what they had heard. So people met regularly in each other's homes in the evening to talk. And groups of tradespeople and professional organizations gathered regularly to talk. Some folks even set up meetings so several neighborhoods could gather at once to talk about all of this, all these new ideas and these new interpretations. So, to put a stop to this, the bishops of the Church of England ordered people to stay at home in the evenings. In their own homes, they specified. They removed certain ministers from their jobs, and they made life very difficult, or in fact, quite dangerous for certain professors. Adapting, the local people set up public lectures on market days during the day, when lots of people were in town, to hear these more exciting ideas, these lectures, which the bishops soon also shut down with the blessing of the king or queen who had appointed those bishops. Part of what everyone was talking about was that the early Christian communities they were discovering did not have bishops or archbishops or outside leaders. And whether they said it out loud or not, some of these English people started to imagine a new kind of religious community in which members might gather together and learn and discuss and make decisions about their own communities, their own churches. They were seeing in the Bible stories and imagining together for their own time a radically lay-led religious community, which did not go over so well with the powers that be. And thus, the Puritans' willingness to give up sometimes everything to buy passage to this continent. And when they came, they brought all of those conversations, all of that talk, all of those ideas, and their experience of not having freedom, which became seeds not only for new kinds of churches, but also seeds for what would become the American Revolution. One of the reasons the Puritans established the Massachusetts Bay Company was that once the king or queen granted a charter to a corporation, the board of that corporation was allowed to make their own decisions, elect their own leaders, and govern their own concerns, as long as they didn't do anything illegal. So yes, corporations could make money, but more importantly, it was a way to set up shop in a faraway land and quietly govern themselves just under the radar of the king or queen, and conveniently out of sight of the Church of England bishops. One of the reasons for establishing the Massachusetts Bay Company, not just about money. Of those 20,000 Puritans, our ancestors of the 1630s, one particular church is probably our nearest relative back then. And it still exists now as a Unitarian Universalist community in Dedham, Massachusetts. The thing is, the 30 or so Puritan families that first settled together there in mid-1600s, they came from different parts of England, and they did not know each other, and they weren't sure what each other's religious ideas were. So after first getting their homes built, first order of business, which required some basic agreements about how they were going to get along and how they were going to make decisions, after that, they were ready to start talking about creating their church, their religious community. And since they didn't know each other, exactly what each other thought, they had this idea to set up weekly cottage meetings in people's homes. For about a year, they met every Thursday night in someone's homes. They rotated through different homes to talk about the important things. Their rules were to choose the next week's topic ahead of time so everyone would have a chance to think about it ahead of time and come prepared to talk. That the host would speak first, and then everyone else who wanted to had a chance to speak, at which time they could respond to the original question or to a closely related question, or with kindness and humility, respond to what someone else said. So this year's worth of conversation topics, they were not about sin or hell or heaven or who was going to go there. Their church-forming conversations were about how to have a just, peaceable, and comfortable civil society. That's what they were trying to figure out together. They recognized that for them to have true freedom, for this to really be a truly free religious community, the civil ideals would need to be in place. Plus, they assumed that their community, their congregation, their church would be the strongest, most clear, most authentic voice for creating a just, peaceful society, because they believed that's what God wanted. And the way they would know what God wanted was not because anyone else had written it down or because a bishop said so, but they would know from their own hearts and for their own local conversations that they had with each other in these committed groups of people that prioritized love and loving ways. In practice, that meant that what would hold them together would not be a specific set of beliefs, but their willingness to commit to being a love-centered community of members who promised to be in it together for the long haul. As Alice Blair Wesley put it, they decided that members of their new free church should be joined in a covenant, a set of mutual promises. Members of their free church should be joined in a covenant of religious loyalty to the spirit of love at work in the minds and hearts of the local members. This is very different than being loyal to the tradition or the official line, that it would be loyal to what was coming up in the hearts and minds of the members. And they kept records of all of this. There's much use of the following words in the record. These are the ingredients in their recipe, we might say. Reason, reasons, reasoned, reasoning, deliberation, making a trial of, clearing, cleared up, encouragement, advice, advise, counsel, agree, agreed, agreement, approbation, meaning approval or praise, liberty, liberties, and promising sweet comfort, help. The word brotherly. But by far the most commonly used words in all those records of that year-long's worth of conversations were these: affection, affections, affectionately, embrace, love, loving, lovingly. Puritans, the upshot of their legacy as it's eventually made its way to us is an understanding that a free religious community is entirely self-governing, no outside authorities, that the spirit of love must be at the center of it, evidenced in how members treat each other, how members live in the world, how members do everything, in fact. That membership and those promises had to be completely voluntary, freely chosen. and that members had to continually figure out together what love is asking of them, or as our ancestors referred to it, walking together, to figure it out continually. Now, it's important to know that by today's standards, our ancestors did not exactly govern democratically, nor allow much theological diversity, but following their trajectory over the last 400 years, it has brought us to this place with immense freedom for our religious ideas and beliefs. But the risk is always that we get away from the central piece of needing to be love-centered first and foremost in everything we do, including how we are with each other, but also how we reach out into the world. Adrienne Marie Brown offers the spirit of this very succinctly when she suggests that emergent strategy, the strategies needed for this time, require trusting the people. Trust the people, Adrienne Marie Brown advocates, and the people will be trustworthy. Trust the people, Adrienne adds, and you will be trustworthy. The secret ingredient in the recipe for religious community, according to our tradition, is again and again and again to prioritize love, affections, affectionately embrace, lovingly, and not simplistic love, but demanding, life-sustaining, life-transforming, life-opening, life-revealing love as we keep figuring it out. As Unitarian minister James Beale Blake put it in a covenant in 1894, and many congregations have since adopted and adapted this, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. So here we are. Here you are, inheritors of this legacy. A self-governing community of members anchored ideally in voluntary love. In voluntary love-centered promises made to one another for the sake of the community as well as the world, asked to keep figuring out together and to prioritize above all else what love is asking of us. Love as we understand it now and as we later come to know it. And this moment is asking us to know love more deeply and in new ways, near and far. I think this is why it reaches me right now, right? We could go along kind of, everything's fine, but this is really asking us to go back to that center for what we need. There are many reasons people check out and join and support a congregation such as this. You named a bunch of them in a recent service. Connection, grounding, inspiration, personal growth, spiritual growth, comfort, justice-seeking teammates, community, intellectual stimulation, kindred spirits, and to influence the wider community. Encouragement. Important, all of them. The deeper, encompassing, more lasting reason to join and support a congregation such as this, I suggest, is to be called to love, even when we don't feel like it and don't think we have it in us. To be part of a community committed to trying together through the thickets and the brambles and the mud and the glorious sunrises and surprise beauty too. To figure out what love means now, here, in us, among us, in our county, and as far as our lives reach. Figuring it out by each of us bringing ourselves and our questions and what we know and what we seek to the ongoing conversations and the resulting actions that come out of those conversations. Sometimes that happens in large, formally organized ways, like in a strategic planning workshop, for example. Most of the time, it happens in hundreds of smaller conversations. in small groups, in trios, in one-on-one conversations, and in all the decisions that unfold from them. It happens on Sunday mornings too, sometimes, when people share their insights and their poems, and when people name the ingredients they believe are necessary for trust. The ideal of beloved community is only ever partially achieved by all of us or by any one of us. It's always aspirational. But for me, as time goes on, anything less than that feels fine, but not adequate. Feels less and less adequate for me. That's why I give so much of my time and money and life, energy, and commitment to this shared religious venture of ours. When I entered parish ministry, I said that a primary reason was that ministry kept asking for the best out of me. And darn it, I keep getting what I asked for. It keeps asking for the best out of me. I'm here at this conversation table as much as you are, for my own sake as much as anything, as well as for this community's sake, and in the end, for the larger community's sake and the world's sake. What came with the commitment to be free churches or free societies or free congregations or free by any name, what came with that commitment was the commitment of members to support these churches so that they could be truly free and no one would have control over them, right? They'd be under no one else's control. It's one of the ways this is embodied in our tradition. It was also given that freedom so that love could go where it needed to go. So love doesn't have to obey the existing rules. So that love could be followed wherever it leads in each new era, in each new day. This congregation's mission, one of its two explicit sets of promises, its covenants to each other, to members to each other, is this: with courageous love and a sense of wonder, with courageous love and a sense of wonder, openness, to cultivate our spiritual, emotional, and intellectual strength to create a world more compassionate, more sustainable, more just. At this time of year, this congregation asks its members and pledging friends to name the financial support they plan to give to this congregation and its mission over the next fiscal year from July 1st through June 30th. If ever spiritual, emotional, and intellectual strengths were needed in the world, it is now, I suggest. Unprecedented. The fact that over 90% of the congregation's funding comes from pledging members and friends really does embody this congregation's freedom and its aspirations and its commitments, not to mention the precious time and valuable talents people give. I shared last year that I give 5% of my income to UUCM and 5% to other causes. I know you have your own reasons for being part of this community or for considering being part of this community. I invite you to add to those reasons this one, if it's not there yet, so that you can be called again and again and again to figure out what love is asking of you. Over and over again, to figure out what love is asking of you with committed and imperfect companions, helping to figure it out, helping to figure out what love is asking, remembering that justice is what love looks like in public, as Cornel West put it. The world and nation and we ourselves are always changing, but this feels like a time of profound transition, hopefully profound transformation, inside and out, really a pivotal moment. I invite and encourage you to bring yourself to the moment generously and healthily, to generously and healthily invest your time, your talent, your trust ingredients, and yes, your treasure in community that might together meet this moment, hold it, move it, meet you, hold you, move you, for the sake of those who will inherit this tradition we steward for a time, and then pass on to those who will come after us. My friends, for the sake of everything, so may we be.
This month's community partner, Interfaith Food Ministry, will receive half of this morning's offerings. Their mission is to reduce food insecurity in Nevada County. They envision a community where no one ever feels the hurt of hunger. It is in giving that we receive. May we welcome this opportunity to share, and please see the slide for additional ways of giving. Thank you for your offerings, your generosity of money, time, and heart. All are needed to sustain our UU community. We dedicate these gifts to the working of our community and to the shared vision of interfaith food ministry for good health and human dignity for all in our community. Thank you.
A variation on our Beatitudes. I'm going to start at the end. Thank you to Barbara, Susan, Carol, and Lynn for helping with refreshments. No small thing after the service. Thank you. And an easy way to start offering a piece of yourself, whether you bring cookies or carrots or something for the table or assist. Those who are up with Kids Connection, I saw Cheryl. I didn't see who was with Cheryl today. George for being our lay pastoral care associate today. Corey and Carl and others who chipped in for greeting. Shanti for the beautiful blue setting today. To Steve and Cypress, extra today, thank you very much. to Eileen for being online. Jill and Mark and Dante, thank you for reading. Thank you for your poem, Jill. And Carol, thank you very much for being worship associate. Toby, as always, it's great to have you back at the piano. Great to have your music. Climate Citizens Lobby meets on Monday. There's a virtual cottage meeting, imagine, to hear kind of about where things are on Thursday the 20th. There's a deep dialogue workshop next Saturday morning. This is largely online, although we can have a certain number of people here around the table on Saturday morning. This is part of that cultivating that central love piece. How do we have the challenging conversations with each other? I invite you to do that. This week is for anybody who wants to take part. This next Saturday. And the one after that will be for members who are in a covenant with each other to go dig a little deeper. And the Spirituality Sharing Circle meets next Saturday afternoon. The pledge campaign opens officially. Some of you have already turned your cards in, officially tomorrow. There are cards. You can do it online. You can stop in at the office. You can go to grassvalley.org and to the Give section. Thanks to our team, our stewardship team. Where are you in the room? I see some here. Yeah. I invite you to be generous. And as always, the website and the newsletters have a whole lot more information always. I invite us in this moment, at this threshold in time, to rise and sing this song, naming the fire of commitment and naming the new ways that it might have to take shape as we go forward. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and to sing. From Gretchen Haley once again. We promise no magic, no making it all better, but offer only this circle of trust.
This human community that remembers, though imperfectly.
That sings and prays, though sometimes awkwardly.
This gathering that loves, though not yet enough.
We're still practicing, after all, still learning.
Still in need of help and partners.
Still becoming able to receive all this beauty.
And all these gifts we each bring.
Remembering this, we offer these good words to each other to send us on our way. Together, let us carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Please join in conversations and talk, and refreshments. And we'll see you next Sunday for spring inflection.
Good job. No sleep.